So late last night it was reported that Thomas Tuchel has become the new England manager. And it's been confirmed this morning, and he's been giving his press conferences, he's been at the media, he's been answering all the questions, and today I'll be answering your question. Why is Thomas Tuchel the perfect fit for England? This video is going to be split into 3 parts. We're going to talk about his tactics, his trophies, and why specifically this is good for England. So let's get right into it. So Tuchel is a very tactically flexible manager. You know, over his career, he's used a range of different formations: a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 3-4-1-2, 3-4-3. The list goes on. And if we're being specific to defence, he's also very defensively pragmatic. He's very flexible. He's very happy to change depending on the opponent that he is coming up against. And this is very important for tournament football. He's very strict with discipline, and he's a perfectionist. Everything's got to be perfect. He's a very well-drilled manager, and this is very important. I'm going to mention this later, but tactically, to be flexible, to be able to, for it to be favourable for you to switch your defensive lineup to your defensive way of playing regularly, depending on the opponent, it's fantastic for tournament football. And, you know, you're going to see his success in tournaments as we go on. But this is key, because not only does it mean that he cares about his defence. It's good to be, they say, scoring goals wins you games. Being strong defensively wins you trophies. And I think this is true. And, maybe we're going to see this with Arsenal in the long term for the Premier League. But the fact that he has a huge emphasis on defence is very, very encouraging. But the fact that he can adjust, depending on the opponent. Maybe if England are playing against a low block, he can adjust to a 3-back. But if we're playing against a very, very strong team that might well be better than us, we can play a 5-back and be defensively solid, which I think is really important for tournament football, not to stick to the same tactic, to be ready to change, because, games are happening so quickly. You have games every 3 days, 2 days, so to be able to switch things up, to rotate, not only literally with your players, but tactically, is really important. I think specifically for his tactics, he's got a huge emphasis on wing backs, which I think for England is key, is really, really important because of the talent that we England have there. Ben White, as an Arsenal fan, I'm desperate to see him. Well, I'm not desperate, I'm pretty content with him not playing in the international breaks, but as someone who really rates him as a footballer, I really would like to see him play for England, play for his country. Trent Alexander-Arnold, maybe a player that has struggled under the recent England managers. I think Thomas Tuchel will definitely be able to work with him. He's such a talent. Kyle Walker, yes, he's coming to the end of his career, but I'm sure he's got at least one more tournament in him. If he's able to keep his physicality, his pace, this is fantastic. And Luke Shaw, of course, is on the other side. And yeah, England definitely lack left backs. Mitchell for Crystal Palace is a name that was mentioned in the Euros. Why he didn't get picked, why there was no real backup. But could Saka play left back? The point is that England have options at full back, at wing back, and the fact that Tuchel needs these wing backs. You saw at Chelsea, and again we're going to talk about his work at his previous jobs, but at Chelsea, Ben Chilwell and Reece James were, huge. We talked about on the podcast last week with Rocco what's happened to Ben Chilwell, why has he fallen off so much, and an explanation for that could be that Thomas Tuchel's no longer with him. Thomas Tuchel no longer is the coach that that needs him. He's not no longer a key player for Chelsea. Maybe he'll find his feet somehow. He's not getting any game time at Chelsea, but I think that's also another point, that he knows a lot of the players. He's played with a lot of the worked with a lot of the players in the league. Harry Kane, he's working with right now. Some of the Chelsea boys he's worked with in the past. So Conor Gallagher, for example, or Ben Chilwell, or Reece James. When these players are back to fitness, back to form, I think that's really, really key. But I think, he's very good for tournament football, and I think this is shown in his trophies and his career, what he's won. On the DFB Pokal with Borussia Dortmund, which obviously is the equivalent of the FA Cup, a tournament knockout football. In 2019, he did the domestic quadruple with PSG. Now, although yes, it's PSG, they spend the most money in France. They are probably they are the best team in France. Quadruple anywhere you are, that is very impressive. That I was thinking, what is a quadruple? How could you have 4 could. I mean, I thought in England we have 3 domestic cups. You know, obviously with the Premier League, FA Cup, and the Carabao Cup. I was thinking, how can you top that? Those 4 trophies were Liga, obviously the league in France, and then Coupe de France, Coupe de la Ligue, and Trophée des Champions. I don't know these trophies very well. Obviously, Coupe de France is again another equivalent of the FA Cup, but I don't know if those other 2 are similar to the Charity Shield. You know, they're one-off games. But either way, you know, he's good at winning trophies, and he got to the Champions League final the same year in 2020. And then the following year, he was a Champions League final winner with Chelsea. The Champions League this is exactly what you want to see. A manager that is successful in the Champions League. This is exactly what you want to see in your manager, because Champions League, that's such a high level. It's high level football, obviously European. The fact that he's able to succeed in that, he's got into the Champions League final. He's got into the Champions League final twice with obviously PSG. And he's won the Champions League the following year with Chelsea, a team that were not the favourites. You know, I mean, yes, PSG spend a lot of money. Yes, Chelsea spend a lot of money, but these were not. You know, when Chelsea won the Champions League, that was a surprise. So that's very convincing. And with Bayern Munich last season, which in 2024, he got to the semi-finals of the Champions League again with a very struggling Bayern Munich team, Bayern Munich side. He also got to the Carabao Cup, EFL Cup final. I believe in 2021, and was the Club World Cup winner. Again, not really impressive trophies, but it's knockout football. It's that format that he's very good at. So that's what I'm really trying to stress here. He is very, very good at being. He's very, very good at succeeding in knockout football. And what is international football? It is knockout football. The World Cup, the Euros. You don't have any. It's not a league. It's knockout. It's end to end. That's all that matters. That result on that day. So that's very, very convincing for England. Obviously, this is his first tenure in international management. I think it'll be a real success, and obviously he won the Bundesliga in 2023 as well. And as I say, got to the semi-finals of the Champions League. So he's got success in the Champions League. He's won domestic trophies like the DFB Pokal, like the Coupe de France, he got to the EFL Cup final. I think his trophy cabinet shows what he's good at. You know, there's not many league titles there. He didn't win a league title with Chelsea. He didn't win a league title with Borussia Dortmund. He won domestic cups or continental cups, knockout cups, and you know, with the European Championships and the World Cup. That's all that England should care about. We're into the last chapter, or the last third of this video. Let's talk about the stature. Let's talk about why this is so, I'd say, revolutionary for England. If you look at the stature, the reputation of England's last few managers, of obviously Lee Carsley, Gareth Southgate, Sam Allardyce, Roy Hodgson, Stuart Pearce, Fabio Capello, etc. None of these managers come even close to Thomas Tuchel in terms of what they've achieved in football management. And as I say, it's me stressing that knockout, that tournament success is so important and so key. I think also what is really exciting is obviously a real tactician, but also, as I mentioned earlier, how strict he is in terms of discipline and how much of a perfectionist he is. And I think watching the Euros, you watch countries like Spain, like France, like Italy, for example, countries that have been successful in recent years in European and World Cups competitions. The ongoing theme is how well drilled they are. You look at Spain in Euro 2024, how well drilled they were. They weren't necessarily the favourites, if at all. I mean, England probably were, or France were. Germany were, but not Spain. Obviously, they're a massive country. They've got very good players like Rodri, like Lamine Yamal. I mean, again, an underdog. But the point is that they were very well drilled, and I think that's what England have lacked. Gareth Southgate, I think I've got a lot of respect for Gareth Southgate. 2 European Cup finals in the last 3 tournaments is fabulous. It's absolutely fantastic. You can't deny that is somewhat success. But I think maybe the reason why England lost to Italy, maybe the reason why England lost to France in the World Cup, maybe the reason England lost to Spain in the final wasn't due to a lack of quality. No, maybe it's due to a lack of tactical genius, I might say, or just being well drilled, just patterns of play. And I think Thomas Tuchel will really offer that. And I think finally, my final point is how exciting this is for England. I mean, obviously he's on an 18-month contract, but I'm sure if he is successful, this will be, for the World Cup and for the 2028 Euros, hopefully. I mean, the amount of players that England have that are 25 or under, and I say 25 or under because I've included Declan Rice in this list, but Wehi, Colwill, Livramento, Lewis, Rice, Angel Gomez, Conor Gallagher, Jude Bellingham, Foden, Anthony Gordon, Noni Madueke, Palmer, Saka. I mean, these players are all under 25. Yes, Harry Kane. Yes, Kyle Walker are older players, and maybe they only have so many tournaments left to play in. But you've got players like Guehi, an outstanding player last tournament. Colwill, 21, really exciting footballer. I mean, Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, Bukayo Saka. I mean, these are world beaters. I mean, these are world-class players that I would argue will be under a world-class manager, which they haven't been under before on international level. Really, really exciting for England. I think it's a great appointment. I mean, I think the key for me is it's just like such a big step up from Lee Carsley, from Gareth Southgate. I think it's really, really exciting. Obviously, you have to wait and see how they fare in international tournaments, or international friendlies, international games. The amount of international breaks we're having nowadays, I'm sure we'll see them in action very, very soon. But very exciting for England. Very exciting. It took me by surprise, and that's why. That's why I was so desperate. That's why I was so desperate to get a video out. Obviously maybe it's not to the standard of usual Summer of the Crossbar videos are, but I had to talk about it. Anyway, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please be sure to subscribe to the Summer of the Crossbar channel. Obviously, this is a podcast, so check out the last few episodes. That will be on the screen somewhere here. Subscribe, which will be somewhere on the screen somewhere here, and of course listen to the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on whatever platform you listen to, out on 6 platforms altogether. And you'll hear my voice again on Sunday at 9 p.m. when the podcast is released. Goodbye.